I am here to help people figure out, whether Kickstarter makes sense for them, help to set them up for success, and truly, really cheer them on through the course of their campaign and beyond.
We have got our group full of wonderful ladies that are launching on Kickstarter soon. They have gone through our Kickstarter work group and have shown up day in, day out to each week to do the lessons and get their Kickstarter ready for launching. And a number of them are ready to go as soon as tomorrow. So we have a special treat for them and for you. We have Oriana Leckert in the house. Welcome, Oriana. She is my go-to. She is the amazing informational guru when it comes to Kickstarter. And she's going to be here to take a look at their Kickstarter campaigns, provide a little bit of critique. So welcome, Oriana. I am so happy to have you here. If you want to just give us a little bit of background of your role at Kickstarter, I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah, April, thank you so much for having me. It is always a pleasure to see you and all of the incredibly passionate, dedicated, motivated people who are in your group doing these really, really wonderful campaigns. So I'm Oriana Leckert. I'm now called the head of publishing at Kickstarter. I was promoted a few months ago. So I've been at Kickstarter for about 4.5 years. I came here to grow the journalism category, actually. I've spent the last 2.5 years covering all of publishing, all of comics, a little bit of journalism when I have time. And we're actually in just about on the precipice of a new change. I'm now the head of publishing, and we're bringing on someone new who's starting tomorrow to be the head of comics. So my job is getting split in half. I will be fully focused on publishing and journalism, which is a pretty small category here, but maybe I'll have some time again to help grow that. But that's books, magazines, podcasts, zines, anything, literary scarves, literary museum exhibits, kind of anything to do with the written word falls under my purview. My job, I've often said, is sort of one part literary industry expert, one part crowdfunding consultant, one part life coach, and one part cheerleader. I am here to help people figure out, whether Kickstarter makes sense for them, help to set them up for success, and truly, really cheer them on through the course of their campaign and beyond. So I'm here for strategic guidance, just kind of like weird questions about, the nuances of our platform. I'm not tech support. Once we get into that, we have an amazing team on our support desk who can help you with that stuff. But the sort of bigger, how to reach your audience, how to set up your campaign page in a strategic way, those are the kinds of things that I am hopefully your go-to gal for.
Awesome. That is fantastic. So we queued up a couple for you. So here we go.
Okay, but yeah, I think this works.
I know it's hard to turn screens off. You see, they're made that way. They're really irresistible. Your brain says, stay all day. Screens get your brain excited and they leave it wanting more. It sometimes seems, compared to screens, that everything's a bore. Us adults understand the effect screens can have on kids and the importance of screen-free activities filling their day. But how do we explain that to kids? Hi, I'm Kaylin Carr, and I'm on a mission to preserve playtime for kids living in a screen-saturated world. My kids were born around the same time as the iPad. It was the coolest new thing, but I didn't love how zoned out they were, and then it was always a struggle to turn the screen off and behavior would spiral, not to mention the constant questions of when they could get it next. I was over it. It was not worth it. But one day I put it in a drawer and never charged it again. I'm a former teacher with a master's degree in reading, and I love to use books as teaching tools and conversation starters. I just couldn't find a book that said what I wanted to say in this situation. So I wrote it. Screens Away, Time to Play is a lighthearted rhyming book that will help kids understand why they shouldn't be on screens all day and give them ideas of fun things to do instead, like magician, doctor, astronaut, play dress up with a friend. Go grab a stack of favorite books and read them till the end. Look, I get it. Screens are fun and they're a very useful tool, but I want kids to understand that there is so much more to life than the screens that draw them in. Plus, parents and teachers can refer back to this book when they hear those dreaded words, I'm bored. There are pages of activities to spark an idea, And it also talks about how it's okay to be bored. I want kids to know their job is to play. When you support this book, you are supporting the importance of exploring, learning, and playing in the real world where kids thrive. Just like one of my favorite lines says, activities like these are best for growing your smart brain. Those screens can teach all sorts of things. The learning's not the same. This project is such a passion of mine. In fact, my entire business, Quiet Book Queen and Crafts in Between, makes it easy for caregivers to provide screen-free activities and more play in their day-to-day. Since we let the iPad die, my kids have spent thousands of hours making nature soup, decorating cardboard boxes, building forts, climbing trees, and creating art. So much of these treasured moments are documented in the pages of this book, and I hope to share it with your little ones. I'm so grateful for your support, and I hope you back my project so I can send you an autographed hard copy of Screens Away, Time to Play. Or you can purchase books that I can donate to schools and libraries. When you purchase this book, we are linking arms on this mission to make play a priority in this digital world. You know, like how we used to do. Let's put screens away because it's time to play.
Wow, that's a beautiful, very well done video. Were you guys able to hear it, Oriana?
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Now, the length of the video seemed fine to me. Any feedback on the video itself?
I thought the video was terrific. This is like a really well produced, excellent. I think some people get nervous about making a video because they are aspiring to the kind of video that you're doing, which I truly think was incredible. I will also just say it can also be fine to do something more simple that's just face to the camera, more just talking. But if you have the means and I presume the team to help you get a video like that, I think that's really, really wonderful. And I would hope that you or anyone listening to this in the future, if you're going to make a video, also think about at the same time gathering some assets, whether that's some of those delightful GIFs, little small clips of the video that you can put on your website, that you can deploy on your socials during and after the campaign. So you make sure that you're really making use of all of that really clever digital stuff that you've just put together.
Right, absolutely. Okay, so what should I do next? Just kind of scroll through the story?
Yeah, I think I was going to kind of talk about the way that I look at a campaign.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Great.
Yeah, totally. I think it's also very clear to me, Kaylin, that April, you really do such good work with your folks. I see campaigns every day, and this is far more advanced and like much more ready for prime time than a lot of the things that people send me. One of the things that I do when I'm looking at a campaign for the first time is I imagine somebody looking at it on their phone. What they're going to see on their phone is the title, the subtitle, the project image, and if they scroll a smidge, maybe that first sentence. I think that those pieces combined are critically important. This is such a funny project to be starting with because I always say our brains have all been pickled by the internet. Everybody's attention spans are shorter than they've ever been. So you need, with just those few elements, to really draw somebody in to the campaign and make sure that you've given them enough to want to like keep scrolling and keep reading and stay on the page. Kaylin, I think that you've done a really excellent job of that. I think you've got, the title of your book as the title, which is super smart. You have the right amount of information that you've communicated in the subhead, the ages of kids that this is appropriate for, a perfect little elevator pitch of exactly what this book is about. April, I think it's really funny where you've stopped, or maybe that's the last frame of the video. I think the project image is lovely as you have it, but I was actually going to recommend exactly what we're seeing here. People will know that this is a book campaign because you've told them that and they're clicking through it from a link of yours, or they're scrolling on the Kickstarter site of books. So I think while it is nice to indicate in your project image that you are making a book, I don't think that it's required. And the book cover, as you have it in your project image, it's got a lot of small type, including, the writer and the illustrator. And I really encourage people to remember that these images are going to appear in many places and at many sizes. So if you see this in like a search page, in a tweet, when it's thumbnail size, all of those small words will be pretty much impossible to read. So we always recommend that you use one full bleed image that communicates as much about your project as you can. It's fine to include text. You know, I said I also work in comics, and so juxtaposing images and text can be really important. But I think that you do just as much with this image as it is here than with a mock-up of the book the way that it is in your current project image. So that's what I was going to say
Great
about.
feedback. Yeah, that's great feedback. I love this as a
Yeah.
project image.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what I was going to say about that. I think usually I tell everyone to put a TLDR sentence at the top that says, this is a children's book that does this for this, you know, blah, blah, blah. I actually think that your opening is pretty good, just as it is. In fact, I think you are also drawing people in with, you know, the hot take that you've given here. So I think that this is actually really strong. As I'm scrolling, the next thing I notice is the author bio, which is just above the rewards. April, if you want to go back up a little.
Oh, did I go too far? Okay.
That's okay. At the, yeah, right, a little bit higher. Yeah, so there's Kaylin Carr. It shows that you've backed 9 projects, which I think is excellent. A lot of times people will come
Oh, here.
having, yeah, a lot of times people will come having backed none or not any on this particular author account. That says to me, if they haven't backed any projects, I am immediately worried that they might not have like a really full understanding sort of how Kickstarter works. I think it's really, really, really important to back a number of campaigns, even for just a few bucks before you start, so you can watch what other people are doing, follow those creators out in the world, so you get the sense of the cadence and the tone of their social posts, how they're talking about what they do, things like that. And I think it can also, if it says 0 backed, that can also indicate to potential backers that you are not maybe as much a part of this community. I think showing that you've backed a lot of projects, that you're supporting other people, indicates that, you know, really foundational to the Kickstarter ethos is a rising tide lifting all the boats. And so if you are helping to rise that tide, it might make people even more excited to help lift your boat. Okay, so the next thing I will say, running down this project, I love that you have graphic headers where you've said the mission. I love the way that matches the aesthetics of your project. It's a great way to help break up the text. So I always encourage people to do that. Beyond that, you know, I read some of this as we were starting. I think you've done an excellent job of saying the same things in your text that you've said in the video, but in different ways, in a more digestible text-based format. A lot of times people think, well, it's in the video, so I don't have to also put it in the copy. But I disagree with that. I think I always share this anecdote, but my partner is someone who wants everything on the internet to be consumed in a video. He doesn't really want to do the work of reading, whereas I am exactly the opposite. If I'm not watching Kickstarter videos as part of my job, I never want the internet to talk to me. I only want to read words. So making sure that you are appealing to both of those different audiences in different ways is really important and good, because so many of those different kinds of people will be looking at your project. I really like these endorsements. I like that you've also done them in the same aesthetic as the rest of the project. One thing I will say about images like this that are full of text, a screen reader can't capture the text in here. So if people who are visually impaired or who are reading in translation, they will not be able to get the text in those images. It's really easy to add captions, or there's another word and I've just lost it, but it's alt text. The Kickstarter build allows you to do that. And I would encourage you to, even if you don't know that there's a lot of people who English is not their first language looking at your campaign, you never know who's going to land on your page. So making sure that it's accessible to all can be really nice.
I have a quick question. So
Please.
the screen reader can't read the text because it's viewing it as a picture. Is that why?
That's exactly right. I mean, I think that it's probably a JPEG or a PDF. And so a screen reader just knows that that's an image. Whereas if you have alt text, it will read what is in that text. In this
Right,
case,
and when you're uploading the image, there is a place to put that alt text there, and that way you'll be able to handle both.
And then do you think that text is too small for somebody who's scrolling on their phone? Or, I mean, it looks like it's about the same size as the rest of the text on the page.
I think that's fine. Yeah, I think, people can embiggen on their phones if they need to. It's important to think about the multiplicity of kinds of people who will be on your page, but of course you can't really account for like
Right.
every single one whose screen resolutions are all set at different sizes and various things. This looks fine to me. I am not, I mean, I suppose the Dr. Nancy's title is pretty little, but I keep my type size fairly small. If I really wanted to, I could plus it up to read that line. I think it's fine as you've got it. Oh, another thing I just thought of, if appropriate, if Dr. Nancy has a website or a social account that you want to let that picture link out to, that could be a nice way to promote her and her work in the same way that she is helping to promote yours. I
Okay.
think that's about as far as I had gotten. I mean, y'all are putting me on the spot, so I'm trying to do this while I talk, and I'm not always the best multitasker, but I really like that you have got things written in short sentences and paragraphs. I like how the text is broken up with a lot of images. This is really just like a visually exciting campaign, really easy on the eye. I think it's well organized. I like that you've got the book specs up toward the top. I love seeing all the rewards and pictures of all the rewards. We recently added the ability to add images in the actual boxes on the right, which I see that you have done. So that's awesome. I suppose, let's see, I will roll myself down to the bottom of the campaign and see if anything else leaps out. I like that you've done the funds allocation, the pie chart breakdown, where the money is going, timeline, the team. These are all elements that I always recommend to people. So this is great. You've got your socials. That's really nice. So people can find you. It's brave that you have your actual email address here. It's fine. That does perhaps open you up to anyone who has a program to find email addresses written on the internet. So I don't know if that's you might decide that you're
Where
getting,
was that? I don't remember putting my
it's
email.
all the way at the bottom, right above the risks. and
Oh,
challenges.
when I was doing that. I gotcha. Okay, I can remove that.
Up to you. I'm not exactly telling you to remove it, but I am saying that is perhaps brave. And so then once I got to the bottom, I will roll back up and look at the rewards. So let's see, you've also done a really smart job with your rewards. I usually tell people, your book tier should be the main tier. Everything below that, you want to make either digital or conceptual, let's say. So like $7 to support the project, $12 for a printable PDF. This is great and really smart. So you're not shipping anything until you get to the book level. Donate a book is beautiful. I'm always so happy when people do that. Early bird tier, really smart. Sometimes people have an early bird tier that doesn't specify what makes you an early bird. So the first 24 hours or the first, say, 50 backers is typically the way people will structure that. And it's really smart. That way in your initial promo and messaging, you can say, get in on the early bird. You only have 24 hours, or be one of the first X people if you want that lower price. $22 is a great price point for your book, especially signed. 2 books, excellent, with a tiny discount. Just a note about shirts. Shirts are great. People like them, but make sure that you have thought through as a creator that a t-shirt is not one item. It is actually many items because it's many different sizes, sometimes in many different colors. Looks like you have 2 different designs. So, and you don't know how many of each you're going to need before you start. This can be fine if you know what you're dealing with and are prepared for the sort of logistical challenges of that. But, a lot of my job is helping to make sure that people do not ruin their lives with their Kickstarter campaigns. And if you don't know what you're doing and you haven't really planned out what all of that is going to mean for you, t-shirts can turn into kind of a muddle. So just want to put that out into the world. Book bundle, this looks excellent. 4 copies of the book, great. This year of play, that's really smart. The whole world is sort of moving toward subscription membership based things, and so that's really nice. That's the way you can also, we haven't even talked about, but obviously a Kickstarter is for funding your creative work, but it's also an incredible marketing tool. And folks who buy a subscription, you're going to get to be in touch with them all year long, make them excited about everything you're doing now and everything you will do in the future. So super smart reward. Custom illustration, excellent. $150 is, I think, the right price point for that. Another bundle. Oh, be in the book. This is wonderful. We see this in comics all the time. And I'm really excited when people put it in publishing. In case folks don't know, this is where you or whomever you want it to be can be drawn into the book. This obviously only works if the book's not completed yet. I've also seen really clever takes on this, like we'll draw your dog or cat as a dragon or like a, a monster in the book. I've also seen we'll make your mother-in-law the villain, your
Oh,
child
that's hilarious.
or princess. Yeah. So you can, depending on what your project is, you can have a lot of fun with that. And people really, really love it. And there we are. Yeah, class set. So I think those are all of my snap impressions. Kaylin, do you have questions? Did I say anything that was confusing or unclear or that I didn't
I
address?
appreciate the feedback so much. The project we love button, is that how do I apply or
Yeah,
Good
you
job.
don't apply. This is something Kickstarter, unlike in this AI future, the projects we love and all of our internal promotion is handled by people. So somebody that we have a whole editorial team whose job it is to choose the projects we love, to look at campaigns all day long, to assess which ones should go into newsletters or in our various social channels. So I am, one of the coolest parts of my job is I get to flag projects and recommend them for that honor. I will certainly make sure that they take a good look at yours and decide what to do with it. I will just say it is really smart to think about stretch goals. No, we don't know how viral or how well, your campaign will go, but planning out some stretch goals in advance is really, really important. Some people say like, oh, I don't want to like presume that I would get that high, but then what happens if you do is that you haven't planned things out in advance. You haven't really like done a clear budget, made sure that you've like really, really thought through the logistics and production and manufacturing processes. And that's another way that people can wind up ruining their lives, by making a bunch of promises in the heat of the moment that they haven't really made sure that they're going to be able to fulfill. So thinking that through, having plans for it is excellent. There's like a whole philosophy around setting your funding goal. It is absolutely a critically important decision for anyone running a campaign. We encourage people to think of your funding goal as a floor, not a ceiling. So I do I would consider the sweet spot to be the minimum amount that is really what you do need to complete the project. I see a lot of campaigns running for like a $500 goal, which like we all know you're not making a book for $500, not something of any, appreciable value anyway. And so, if that is the only money that you do make, it should be enough to cover your costs to bring your dream to life. And then, you want the sort of tangible urgency of the all or nothing funding does really help propel people to and often past their funding goals. I don't think that people are less likely to fund your project if your goal has been met. In fact, we see generally people are more likely because now there's a certain level of confidence that this is going to actually happen. And if people if they keep wanting the book, what do they care whether you've made, $5,000 or $10,000? Like, they want the project, so they will come in and back it anyway. So with all or nothing funding, you don't want to be too aspirational, because as we all understand, you don't want to get almost there and not make it. But so those are some of the ways. I think this is also slightly intangible, but you just want to find the spot where your ambition matches your reach. You want to have done an honest assessment of who's in your network, how you're reaching them, what you're doing to get there, and set a goal that is reasonable, somewhat aspirational, but hopefully attainable based on what you know about how you're going to run the project. Just pretend that everybody only backs for the book itself, see how many backers that leaves you with, and then decide what to do from there. If that is way more than you think you can get, either you can scale back the ambition of the project, maybe fund it in a couple of pieces. You can add a lot more high dollar rewards if you think you've got people who will be able to come in at that level to offset your printing costs, things like that. But you're approaching it in exactly the way that I encourage people to do. All right, so this one I haven't looked at yet at all. So we will you guys will be watching me roll through it. So let's see. I think great title and subtitle. I think this project image is really sweet, but again, sort of the same stuff I was saying before. I think you might do better with one big full bleed image rather than several different things, because again, a thumbnail size of this image, it's going to be a little difficult to parse. I think you might be trying to do a little too much. I see this campaign has no video. That's fine. I will just say, we tend to see a preference for videos, but lots and lots of projects get funded without. So I don't want people to feel like that's an immovable stumbling block that, you know, you can't launch a campaign if you don't have video capabilities or financing or whatever. So this looks nice, nice author bio, 33 backed, way to go. Yeah, this is nice with these. You might choose one of these two very top images only because, again, as I said, people will be, you know, you want people to see some copy, I think, right away. It's all anecdotal, but like the number of times they have to scroll, I think each scroll you're like reducing your number of eyes, unfortunately. This looks like a really fun, I love the illustration style, by the way. This is really nice.
It is beautiful. I really do love it. Mhm.
Cool, good copy. I like these little sketches. Oh, this is so fun. I like your spreads. Showing spreads is a nice way to have that sort of the juxtaposition of copy and imagery. Your illustration style, again, is super great.
I love that she also incorporated the why you need this book.
Yeah.
Like it's so many times people tell what's in it and why they need the money, but not really like what's in it for me. Why should I buy this book for my child?
Yeah.
And I really like that you did a good job with that.
I think that's excellent. Another avenue toward that is you will like this book if I often see like the genre fiction writers, if you are a fan of, you know, these three other authors or these sort of like micro genres, this book will be for you. Those are also nice ways to bring people in. I like the timeline. I like the cost breakdown. These, again, I would encourage you to add some alt text. We were talking about type size. The cost breakdown it's pretty small. Those words, editing and book design, copyright and ISBN. I think that's fine. I'm not sure that you're like going to gain or lose a backer, whether they know what an ISBN is or can read that section of a pie chart. But again, since I'm just giving my impressions as I scroll, that is kind of small text. I always like to see book specs, 8.5 by 8.5. That's great.
So cool how they put this meet the author. I love that you were able to get yourself in there and it all around you. That's really cool.
Yeah, excellent photoshopping. I also like the use of boldface text to keep it looking dynamic. This thanks is great. Again, if these people, especially your illustrator, has a website to link to or social media, might want to add that. Ditto your designer. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if I even read the risks and challenges the last time. This is really nice. I think a general word about risks and challenges, largely we have that section for like our gadget makers and the design and tech folks who have like very complex manufacturing. And that's an opportunity for them to say like, we're still, you know, making connections with screen creators in Asia and like various things like that. It is important, but this is fine. It is fine for that to be short and sweet for books. We all know there could be another boat could get stuck in a canal or, you know, some boxes fall off the back of a helicopter. But generally, the barrier to entry for book production, I'm not saying it's easy, but it is lower than in a lot of our creative categories. So a head nod to the sort of like wider world and things that could happen is plenty. You don't need to go overboard with those. So that's great. I'm rolling back up to look at the rewards. Again, we've got a $12 digital package. Very nice. Early bird, excellent. Donate a book. Golly, it's like you all are working in the same authors group and getting the same excellent ideas. We got a 2-pack. We got 2 books. 4-pack hardcovers. Oh, excellent set of 7 books. Well, I first would say that happens to everyone, even Bernie Sanderson and his millions of dollars had a plateau in the middle. That's just the way these campaigns tend to run. You will see the most action in your first and last week, often the first and last 48 hours. So this is, you know, good and important to think about. How will you keep the excitement up? You know, how will you find other elements of the book to talk about on social media? Can you get some influencers or some signal boosters or amplifiers to come in week 2, to talk about your campaign and open up a new kind of audience? Can you get some press? Can you go on somebody's podcast about children's books or vlog about authors, things like that? You can like add new rewards week 2. You can do various kinds of like activations to get other people who weren't talking about it to start talking about it. Or you can just accept that maybe that's the time you take a breath and take a walk and allow things to sort of proceed a little more slowly. This is something we also talk about all the time, how long to run a project for. I would say, especially once you've had some experience, there's a pretty good argument for making it like 3 weeks, maybe a little less. I wouldn't really ever go, unless you're like a super pro doing something really fast and you've got a pretty strong early audience that, if you've got a lot of pre-launch followers or something, I wouldn't go less than 2 weeks, because it just needs time for any activation that you're doing to sort of run its course. For all the people who don't check their email every day, or, they don't see your first or second or third tweet, but by the fourth one, somehow it filters through to their awareness. It just does need a little bit of time and space for all these things to kind of come to fruition. I would say 2 weeks is the shortest I would recommend running it, and only if you've done it at least once or twice before. So, okay, I love your book cover. This is so cool. I would sort of give the same comment I've been giving, that you might do better with just like a cross section of that cover with just the image. Yeah, especially because I'm not sure 7 keys for bridging the gap of respect. I don't know if that will be like instantly grokkable for someone, whereas, a guidebook, the subtitle you have seems really clear, but bridging the gap of respect. So I don't know if you want that to be like the first thing that people will see on your project image, but I really like the aesthetic that you're working with here. When you combine it with When Old School Makes New School and the subtitle of the campaign, it begins to make sense. But the way that this image presents itself, for me anyway, the first words I read were 7 keys for bridging the gap of respect before I even read the book cover,
Okay.
book title, I mean. So that's why I think it might just be a little too prominent
Okay.
in the mix. I think either just a rectangular section of the book cover, not either. That's what I would do. You could do sort of the bottom half under the title. If you really want to include the title, you could maybe like move that down or widen it. But I think the strongest is an image, because especially like this is always going to appear next to the title and subtitle of your Kickstarter campaign. So I feel like the image is just illustrating those words. So
Yeah.
that's always kind of our best guidance.
I haven't done my rewards yet. I've been gathering all the parts and pieces, but we just did some sample ones with Stacy. And so that's the goals that I have there, were just the ones we did as samples in class.
Yeah, so I'm just rolling down. This is a really original idea. Very cool. I really like the aesthetics with the lassos and all the ropes. Yeah, I love the sort of getting an overview of what you're going to get, these ideas of scenic drives and all the fun stuff inside. I like your workbook pages. These again are a little small, but I don't think it's a huge problem. I mean, you don't
Okay.
need to give away every word of your book. I think this will be enough for people to get a sense of what the book will sort of be and feel like.
And can people make
Okay.
those bigger on their phone? Like, can they make those images bigger if they want to see it better?
I assume so. I don't think I could check that easily, but I mean,
Okay. I was
I'm
just-
pretty sure. These green headers, who is this book for? And at the beginning we had about the book, those I might make a little bigger. I mean, they're not
Okay.
unreadable, but I would make them enough bigger than the regular text that they're, that they give the eye a sort of like a break and something to grab onto.
Okay, I might show you if I can, whenever you finish giving me your feedback on my Canva, what I'm playing with.
Okay.
Because I did want to make those bigger, especially after I saw Kaylin's. I was like, wow, that really pops. I like that.
Yeah.
But
That's so nice.
go ahead.
I think your use of bulleted lists is really nice.
Okay.
Great author photo or photo.
Okay.
Oh, look at these sweet little grandkids. Oh my goodness. This is really nice.
That was fun. Yeah.
Oh, wow. This is so lovely, Leslie. My goodness. this campaign does not strike me as overly wordy, if that's the concern. I would say, you know, I come from a journalism background, so while considering that you always want to get your most important information up top, because that's where everybody's going to read, I don't see a problem with having a long campaign. Look, not everybody's going to make it all the way to the bottom, but some people will. And so giving them the information if they want to find it, I think is fine. In the Meet My Team section, we've touched on this previously, but I bet all three of these excellent people have a website or a social handle they would love for you to link out to. So I would add
That's a
that.
good idea. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I really struggled with the whole pie chart thing, trying to find my colors, something that I really wanted to use. So I just kind of went with the same theme. And I'm working on that too, because I think I want to change that up slightly, but maybe put goal 100% funded down in the bottom left corner and put something else in the circle. But anyway, I'm still working on that. But I like that, you know, it's not the standard pie chart, but it still tells the breakdown. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's really lovely. I think the text is a little small, but I think it's a really cute idea. And yeah, I love keeping it in the aesthetic of the project. That's fine. People don't care about a pie chart. I think this communicates your meaning really well, and that's definitely good
Yeah, I
enough.
think that looks cute.
It's good that you have, are you new to Kickstarter, notes on shipping, notes on add-ons, making sure that people have all the information that they need. I think that will be really helpful. And it is smart that you are realizing that you're bringing in a new audience that might not all be that familiar with Kickstarter. So, and that's, you know, that's what I'm saying. People who know how to use Kickstarter will skip those sections, but for the people who don't, that will be really helpful.
I appreciate all of your time. Thank you so much.
This was
All right.
delightful.
Bye.
Can't wait
Thank
to see all your
you.
campaigns on the
All right.
site. Thanks,
Thank
April.
you.
Thanks, Stacey.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.